So, rebooting. This is Jon Reed, joined by Rebecca Wettemann at Oracle AI World. We just had an excellent talk about your CX research, but in case I decide to release this as a separate item, I just wanted to talk with you about your impressions of Oracle AI. Now, we're only partially through the day here, but Oracle also had a big news event last week, 22 new agentic apps. What is sort of stepping back from all this Oracle crazy news, market chaos stuff going on?
Yeah.
What is your general impression of Oracle in terms of how you look at them from an AI perspective?
I think Oracle is making some smart bets and talking about applications and talking about industries, but most importantly, talking about Oracle as the legacy sort of custodian of data, right? The idea that if you're going to layer AI onto your organization, you need to have the permissions, you need to have the data security, you need to have all those things at the database level, platform level, and at the application level to make sure that your AI agents play nicely with others and they don't present security or hallucination risks.
Yeah, it's an interesting thing for me to try to assess Oracle because when I talked with Steve Miranda last week, I wrote a piece about that. And I think Oracle has one of the most coherent enterprise AI strategies when you combine the infrastructure play with the Fusion apps play. And part of it is the discipline that customers go through when they move to the Fusion apps environment, I think really helps them with AI.
Mm-hmm.
But then, like in my conversation with Miranda, he talked about what you just said, like how the agents inherit your security and your setup and your approval rules and your compliance and all of that. So I think that's really potent. But I think what's really interesting is that a lot of the market watchers who watch this company are looking at the news around massive data center build out and OpenAI and layoff news and all this stuff.
Yeah.
And they're looking at this bigger picture, but they're not necessarily seeing how Oracle is executing on the fundamentals of this for enterprises. And I think that's the most interesting part of the Oracle story, but it doesn't get the sexy headlines as much. Do you know what I mean?
It doesn't get as much airtime from Larry.
Right.
And it never has.
Right.
And the best kept secret is how well Fusion apps work and work together. And I would say if there's one thing that I think Oracle could talk more about, and there are a number of them, but if I were to pick one, the idea that with the database and with OCI, I have all of my data in the same place.
Yep.
Right? So I can tell a customer within CX whether a product's available. I can know if that customer pays on time. I can know what their billing history is, what their purchase history is. I can look at what's coming in my supply chain if I can deliver to that customer. And those are just a couple of examples from the CX perspective. But there's a lot that I can do with AI and automation when all of the data is in the same system and all looks the same from a finance, HR, CRM, supply chain operations perspective.
Yeah, and the other interesting thing, and I think this is another one of the things that isn't sexy to market watchers, but is sexy to me because I'm an enterprise person, so I have a really weird view of that. But it's this fall at Oracle's big AI event, talk with a partner, and this partner isn't just a partner with Oracle. I wrote about this a bit, but he said that he's been focusing on Oracle for agent building because the end-to-end process and data platform allows him to do a lot more with those agents than he can do with other vendors. And it's just a really interesting point because what he said was at this moment in time, it's very hard to go across different contexts from different vendors in some seamless workflow. And so he was saying, I've kind of chosen Oracle for this. For me, my light bulbs go off when I hear stuff like that because that's real market validation of like, this is the right way to build these agents so that they actually do what you want them to do.
And we both know that the development and the broader ecosystem has a lot to do with ultimately who's going to be successful and get adopted too.
Yep. And if you're a platform vendor like Oracle, if you're gonna get quote unquote disrupted, wouldn't you want that to be from partners building on your own platform?
Absolutely.
Than from some like aggressive third party that claims they can pull stuff out from your API or whatever.
And if you're a development shop or even an ISV looking at where do I place my bet on infrastructure one, don't you want one that can play across the different pillars of the business?
I can tell you what I wanted Oracle to hammer on more in the keynote that we saw this morning is I wanted them to hammer more on the bad experiences of building agents with frontier models from like just out of the box, because I have a lot of friends who have tried this and had like very, very mixed results. I had one friend who it's like, I'm going to send you my intelligence newsletter I built with whatever, Claude in this case. I'm not picking on Claude. Claude's one of the better ones.
Yeah.
And it's just so funny, like the delivery's been inconsistent, like all this stuff. And it's like, look, there's a reason why building this stuff on your own is totally a different can of worms. And especially when you get into the governance and compliance and on the security. And we heard that from customers on stage today. And I would just like to see Oracle hammer that a little bit more. But
yeah, I mean, part of my reaction this morning was there was a very adult message on the stage today.
Yeah.
Right?
AI for grown-ups.
AI for grown-ups. I'm not gonna point an over-enthusiastic intern at my sophisticated business problem. Right? They may have some good ideas, but they're just as likely to confidently screw up. So I want to make sure that I have those guardrails in place, and have those guardrails in place for someone that has demonstrated their ability to manage data, to be the custodian of data, and to keep data safe for decades.
And from an Oracle CX perspective, how do you see this Oracle CX play fitting into all of this?
I think there's still an opportunity to make that compelling business message around having all the data in the same place. Because we talked about disconnected data. Yes, it's CX data, but it's the finance data and the HR data and the data from other sources outside of CX that ultimately bring me to a better customer experience when I can really have a full knowledge of that customer and what I'm offering to them.
It's funny because I've had some frustrating conversations with some people about this, because like, oh, well, Oracle backed off from going head to head with Salesforce. So, and I was like, I don't care if Oracle goes head to head with Salesforce in the CX market. Or Salesforce or any other. I was like, what I'm looking at is, can they deliver on end-to-end value for their own customers? Because that is where the gold is right now. And that is where I'm going to be watching as far as
I mean, it's the
CX
difference between eating popcorn and watching a movie and actually doing business.
Exactly. Shots fired. All right. Well, let's figure out lunch. We're running out of time. Thanks for joining me.
No,
Appreciate
thank you.
that, Rebecca.
Always fun.